Hey peeps, I'm back. Hello and welcome to the Living Sanctuary. If you're new here, my name is Nish and this is my channel where I talk through the ever-changing scape that is my life. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I hope that you'll sit, stay a while, and take what you need as I journey through the healing and becoming of myself. So for today's topic, I wanted to talk about asking for what you need, or specifically asking for what I need. I'm really talking to myself, and if it resonates with you, I hope that you take a little bit of magic from what I'm trying to change here with you as well. So I don't know about y'all, but I know for me, I have a hard time asking or letting people know if I need something, when I need it, what exactly it is, especially if I think that it's going to be a nuisance, impede, or be annoying to the person that I'm asking or that it involves, which is really prioritizing the make-believe stories in my head about what people think about me, which is crazy, I know, and that's why we're here. We're trying to work through it today. And so the first thing to healing is recognizing that there's a problem. So I know that there's a problem. I know I have make-believe stories in my head, and I know that I really struggle with, making my needs known, specifically not just to myself, but to others, and saying it out loud without the fear of judgment or even just doing it anyway. And so the first step to healing is acknowledging we're there. We know it's there. But then I started thinking, where did this all start? And just like where all of our learned beliefs and traumas stem from, it's childhood. And so I thought about two really specific things in my childhood where I learned that my needs were less important than the thoughts and feelings of others. One is something I heard a lot in my childhood. If it isn't broken, bleeding, or on fire, don't bother me. So if you do know me, well, honestly, even if you do know me, you may not know. Growing up, my mother was very sick and basically living in survivor mode, taking care of two kids on her own until she eventually got remarried. And I say this to give context, not to bash my mother in any way, shape, or form. We are going through this beautiful learning of each other and where we were at different points in our lives. But still to say, those were words that I often heard from her because she was in the survival mode. As a child, I didn't understand that, nor did I know what was actually going on in her life and her health. But she was tired. She was exhausted. She was trying to raise two young girls, and herself, and also take care of her mother all at the same time. And so with that, my needs kind of fell to the back burner. And what I learned was, unless it's an absolute emergency, go fix it yourself or go ask your sister. And so, I heavily relied, both me and my sister both heavily relied on each other to have our needs met, to make food, to keep ourselves entertained. We would go to our grandma's house when we were bored or wanted to go to the park. We would go with each other. We were basically latchkey kids. We really did take care of ourselves for a long time. Even with my sister being there too, sometimes she didn't want to meet my needs either. She was only 3 years older than me. So, as young kids, they're allowed to be selfish. They kind of are. They learn how to be selfless, through their parents. And so that was lesson number one. Or not lesson number one. That was a big instance in my life that really shaped the way as an adult, how I view my needs and how to express them. If it's not an emergency, fix it yourself. And Another experience, I was in the 3rd grade, so like 8 or 9 years old, and I had a teacher who was reading this book that was very special to him, to us as a class. And, you know, little 8, 9-year-old Niche had to pee. She had to go to the bathroom so bad. I still remember this to this day because it was just, I don't know why it's stuck in my mind so much, but it's there. But I had to go to the bathroom. I knew the story was important to my teacher. He was like just starting chapter 1, and I was like, oh man, I need to go to the bathroom. So I was like, I'm gonna hold it. How long could this story take? For what felt like an hour, he was still reading. And so I eventually, because it was to the point where if I didn't go, I'm going to pee myself, and that's more embarrassing than interrupting the story. I raised my hand. He looks over at me. He says, what is it? I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. And he's like, I'd really wish that you would have waited because this is a very important story, but you can go. And that was just another lesson of, if you ask for something that you need, people are going to be annoyed with you. They're going to be upset with you. And so you might as well just keep it to yourself. Granted, I'm glad that I didn't in that situation because I lived pretty far away from my elementary school. I didn't want to go home with a pee smelling, pants. It's silly, but it stuck with me. And it became these lessons or these cornerstones in my life. What's the word? It became these agreements that I made with myself that because I don't want anyone to look at me differently, because I don't want to feel judged, because I don't want to make someone angry, because I'd rather be quiet and deal with it myself than have the negative attention or any attention at all, I was going to put my needs to the side. So I spent a pretty large part of my adulthood. I mean, it wasn't until recently that I realized that this was a very big problem that I had, because I had been going through my life figuring things out for myself. And I was totally fine with struggling in silence because that was the only way that I knew. So the point where I realized that this was an issue, or someone brought it to my attention actually, and it was just like a light bulb moment. I went to this retreat. It was like a spiritual, personal growth retreat. And during the retreat, the facilitator did clearings. If you know about clearings, they like use sage and things like that. But in this specific retreat, they used tobacco smoke. And they did have an option for Florida water if you were sensitive to the tobacco smoke. Now I was sensitive to tobacco smoke, but everybody was using the tobacco smoke. He had already lit it. And I was like, okay, just tell him what you need. Just tell him what you need. Just tell him that you want the Florida water. Just tell him that you want the Florida water. He gets to me and I was like, it's already lit. So when he got to me, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take it. It'll be fine. And then he goes, oh, I remember my wife mentioned that you were sensitive to tobacco smoke. Let me go get the Florida water. I was like, what? She remembered that? It was an off conversation that I had earlier in the day. And he goes, yeah, just ask for what you need. It's okay. That's why we're here. And that was a light bulb moment for me. Like, how long have I been doing this? How long have I been avoiding asking for what I need because I was scared of what somebody might say or think? If it's someone that's important to me, that I love and hopefully loves me back, they would want to meet those needs, right? It wouldn't be a nuisance. It would just be an exchange, or just, it wouldn't be a big deal, basically. And that moment got me to where I am now, which is analyzing it and learning to rewire my brain to reject my old ways of being. So what am I doing now? If you haven't read the 4 agreements, they talk about the 4 agreements, which is be impeccable with your word, don't make any assumptions, don't take anything personally, and do your best. But before all of this, in the 4 agreements, and they explain what it is, they talk about agreements, which are things that you've accepted as a part of rules of your life. And most of these agreements started as you were a child. And then it talks about ways in which you can break those agreements and make new agreements. And so what I've been doing is breaking those agreements. So the needs that I am choosing to break are that my needs are not as important as somebody else's feelings, and my needs shouldn't impede, annoy, or make anybody's life harder. Because that's just not the way life works. Sometimes your needs are going to make somebody's life harder. Sometimes your needs are going to affect somebody else's feelings, and that's okay. But if you think about the hierarchy of things, or at least the hierarchy of how I would like to view it, my needs are more important than your feelings. My needs are more important than your judgment. My needs are more important than you feeling inconvenienced. And I'm replacing those agreements with my needs are important. And if somebody truly loves you, then they will do what they can to make sure that your needs are met. And wouldn't you rather be around people who are truly honest and love you the way that you would like to be loved, instead of this fake society and judgments inside of your head? Wouldn't you want to rather live your real, true life? And so I've been working on that. And an example, though it may be small, it was still a big deal to me. So I hung out with these amazing 2 ladies in my town. We went to go get coffee. We went to go walk a labyrinth. We were chatting, and we were having so much fun. Well, at least I was having a lot of fun. I think they were having fun too. And on this particular day, it was hot. I was melting. I was so uncomfortable. I wanted to get back to like AC in the quickest way possible. I also was not wearing the right clothes to like really sit outside in the sun for as hot as it was. There was no breeze. It was stale. It was rough. And I'm going through my head of like, I don't want to ruin the vibe. Like, we're having a good time. You can just stick it out. And then I had like this giant bead of sweat just like rolling down my back. And then I could like feel my pits getting more sweaty. And I was like, and I just go, hey, would you guys mind moving this conversation to like someplace air conditioned, going back to the bookstore? And one of the ladies offered up her apartment, which we got to pet her dog and see her place and have 2 more hours, probably more, of more wonderful conversation, community building, sister loving type of love, while we were all, including myself, more comfortable because we were not in the blistering heat. And I did let them know this because we were talking about life and things that we've been learning. And I brought that up, and I was like, it actually really stressed me out to even ask that. They were like, oh, well, I was hot too. And I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think twice about you asking to go to the AC. I thought it was actually a great idea. And so not just doing it, but also talking about it helped to build upon these new agreements for myself, because not only did I honor my new agreement with myself, I got positive reinforcement to continue it by my friends listening to me and moving to another place. And then when I told them about it, them letting me know like, oh yeah, that was no big deal. You're totally fine. And so these little ways will help me helped me build to the medium in the very big ways to honor myself and to put myself first, which is something that I've struggled with for a very long time. And I am now learning to do. Like making this channel. I honestly felt like making this channel would be, I was afraid to be perceived. I was afraid of what people would think and things like that. But it's really just all in my head. So do y'all struggle with asking for what you need, for the little person inside your head? I call mine Brenda, the annoying person inside your head that tells you that you shouldn't do something, or that you would be annoying. Do you struggle with that, or is it just me? Am I just talking to myself? Am I the only one telling Brenda to shut up? Let me know down in the comments. And while you're letting me know how crazy I am down in the comments, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on my other videos as well. I'd love to know what you guys think of the channel, and just give me any feedback would really help to see if I can grow this and to reach more people that may be feeling the same things, going through other things, and maybe looking for a little bit more community in their life to let them know that they're not as crazy as they think they are. So I'll end this video. I hope you all are having a great day. And because I'm working on loving myself fully, of course, I have to love you too. All right. Peace out.